Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Tchaikovsky. Hey, Jen.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest today, KAren Swain. Welcome. Great to have you.
Ladies. Hello, ladies. Gee, my internet's a bit glitchy, isn't it? Sorry, I'm a bit slow. Anyway,
that's okay. We will work around it.
People can hear me. We'll work around it. Great to be on your show. I love your intro music. That's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Away.
We did a little kind of update for the new year kind of thing.
Yeah, we just redid the branding and stuff for the show. So
nice.
That's fun.
Nice.
So let's just say hello to a few people and then we'll do our little forecast there. So welcome, Hypnocity. Great to have you, Nalani. Thank you for joining us. And we have Fogo Pogo. Hey, Kaylee.
Hello.
Welcome. So let's talk about the weather. We have space weather galore today. We've got a lot of stuff happening. So let's take a look at that. Some of the biggest news is that we're actually having a huge geometric storm at the moment. So we're up in the K8 here. And so that puts us into our severe geometric storm. So this is creating, some radio issues. And of course, we're feeling it. It's affecting the earth. So any of us that are sensitive, we're going to have a little piece of that happens, probably bumping up against us and, swirling the energies around a little bit. We've also got a Schumann up in the 50s today, 54. And we also had an X-class solar flare yesterday. So that's going to start affecting us and a number of M-class as well in the last couple of days. So there's lots happening. We do have this radiation storm warning as well, which is an S3. So, hang on to your hats, folks. We've got weather. So lots of grounding, everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grounding, drink lots of water, and hold on to your hats. What's happening with the neutrinos there, Jen?
Well, and that's exactly it. So you say we've got weather, and this is why the weather matters, because all of these solar flares are sending even more neutrinos our way. So if you're not familiar with the term human design, neutrinos talk about very macro level mass that comes through all of the different constellations and all of that. This is why astrology matters, because all of these energies are coming in and this micro mass is bringing information with it, and that information impacts us. 70% of that information is coming from the sun. And when the sun decides to have a corona mass ejection, where I like to say it's having a little bit of gas our way, right? It emphasizes that energy even more. So if you've been following kind of our journey towards all of this transition that's coming our way, you'll know that we are in the gate 60. Now we entered the gate 60. Let me just look at the calendar really quick. We entered the gate 60 on the 17th. And so we're going to be in this energy all the way through until Thursday. And then we're going to go into the 41. So gate 60, what is going on with this energy? This is the energy of limitation. So if you remember when we were talking about kind of all of the energies that we're going to be moving through, this is the final energy that we're hitting before we go into the gate 41, which is the rave new year in human design, that start codon energy where we're ready to start moving into the next phase. So this energy is about acceptance and limitation. It is asking us to have that final shedding layer. So we're in that last stage of shedding before February 17th. These last few gates are going to get us there. And this is about allowing acceptance to replace resistance. So what we're looking at is the shadow of limitation that moves us to the Sid here, the enlightened state of justice, through the gift of realism. What's really beautiful about this energy is that we're being asked to contemplate something that is deeply sobering and grounding frequency-wise, because this governs our relationship with limitation and form. This is all about the laws that shape incarnation. So what we're looking at is the threshold, if you will, between freedom of all things coming into form. So quantum level, we're looking at that quantum collapse moment, right? Where we're bringing things into that form, that awareness. And so this is something that we have to recognize, because we can either come into this energy with limitation, or we can come into this energy with liberation. And how we do that really depends on where we position ourselves in terms of our thoughts and our feelings and what we're focusing on. So the pressure here is going to be the pressure that's created by boundaries: time, money, energy, capacity, what we think is reality, all of those things that we look at as undeniable limits to being human. And this energy is asking us to stop fighting what's immovable and then listen to the teachings that are there. And what that does is it starts to actually bring us into alignment, so that the energy is no longer about limitation so much as about right timing, grounded truth, embodied wisdom. This is the moment where everything kind of changes for us. So during this energy cycle, really look at, where do I feel frustrated by boundaries? Where have I reacted when life has given me a no or a not yet? Right? What is that bringing up in me? That impatience that kind of overrides my discernment, right? Just noticing these things in our experience is going to help us to stabilize the energy. It's going to help us to soften expectation. And then we're going to be able to have the inspiration and all that we've been working on in the past transits to come in and go, oh, okay, this is how it's workable. This is how I can maneuver through this energy and stay in alignment and feel really good about my experience, right? So realism here is about wisdom through acceptance. It comes through when we're able to see clearly without that distortion of wanting it to be a certain way, those horse blinders we often talk about, and allows us to step into the energy of really grounded expectation, where we're allowing the process and the flow to happen more naturally. And it takes away that effort, that striving that can cause a lot of suffering in our experience. So some prompts again. Okay, where am I resisting a limit that may be protecting me? Where does my frustration, what does that reveal about my expectations? And how can I respond when life says wait? So the affirmation for this transit: I honor the wisdom of limitation. I trust the timing that shapes my becoming. Within the container of reality, my life finds its rightful form. So I can put that in the chat for you.
Beautiful.
Please,
Beautiful. That was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you something that you said: try to move the unmovable. What do you deem as unmovable?
When we look at a situation, let's say, because this is so relevant for the world that we're in right now,
Mm-hmm.
We look at something that we don't have influence or impact
Control.
on.
Yeah.
Another person.
like a war on the other side of the world, or
Right.
the decisions politicians are making.
Exactly.
Like Ross Coulthart, I was just watching yesterday, said the politicians have decided to put the whole galactic disclosure on hold. They're not going to think about it. They're not going to talk about it. And I'm like, really? So something like that. Okay.
Yeah. So the moment that we hit up against something that we don't have the ability to shift or change because it is something outside of our control. This is where we might push. We might have expectation, right? I expect that you're going to show up a certain way and you're not doing that. I, expect that politicians should act a certain way and they're not acting that way. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is.
They're not acting the way we want them to.
Right? These are the things that in a lot of ways, feel immovable. And yet when I take that step back from trying to force it, right? And it's easier when we look at things even within our general experience, like a conversation with a partner or a work experience that we have where we can't make the other person do something, and yet we have this expectation around it. And so the idea here of limitation versus realism is that I'm going to recognize where my power is within me. And I'm going to hold space for that and explore what is it that's going on inside of me that wants it to be that way. And then I'm going to honor my own process. And as we do that, we get to see other ways of navigating the situation that when we're in that kind of bull in a china shop, I'm just going to push through, which is something else we've been seeing. We recognize that doesn't generally do what we want ultimately, right? So it allows us to see different perspectives and different ways of being in a difficult experience that allows us to learn to navigate it in flow.
You're directly speaking to my morning, darling one. Conversation with the builders.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let go and let flow. Yes.
Yeah. Go with the flow for sure.
Magic. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Oh, me. What do I do? Oh, wow. What do I do? I don't know. What do I do? I do a lot of things. A bit like you gals. I'm here to elevate consciousness and help people that are here to also elevate consciousness do that. Because, as we come into these physical forms and we take on the mind, body, ego, personality complex, we have this yearning inside of us to make a difference. And sometimes that conditioned thought forms or the outer world that we perceive as reality stops us. So what I do the most is try and help people navigate that. And, supporting the New World teachers is what I call it, uplifting the light workers, supporting the New World teachers. And I've been doing that for years through putting on events and then going on to radio and putting on people on my show and having groups. Karen is a teacher. That's Shirley. Thanks, darling. Is a teacher of consciousness. Yeah, so my galactic guides, when I was chatting to the mob, I reverently called my guides the mob, which include galactic consciousness, streams of consciousness. I said, what is it that humanity most needs to learn as we evolve to the next level of human experience? And they said, you need to learn how to be more deliberate in your thinking because, and so I call this deliberate creation. For years, I was facilitating groups on a Monday night where we'd have different spiritual teachers come and teach. And they always they could say amazing things. And then they always seem to buy into some sort of form of victimization. I'm a victim to my astrology or the rays that are coming through. Like, I can't, excuses for limitation based on what they perceive is stopping them. And it used to frustrate me when I was younger. And I'm like, nothing's stopping you. What? And then somebody sent me an Esther and Jerry Hicks CD back in the days where we had CDs. And when I was listening to Esther talk about deliberate creation, everything fell into place because this is the wisdom that I understood as my truth. But I wasn't hearing it as a young girl in my 30s from all the masterful spiritual teachers, churning through the groups every week. I wasn't hearing that same wisdom like the Seth books. I read the Seth books in my 20s. you ask me about what I do and I go off on tangents. I read the Seth book in my 20s, and something that I read in the Seth books said there are only 2 rules to life. 1, you create your reality, and 2, there are no limits. So if this is true, then what excuses are we coming up with to limit what we perceive we want when there are no limits? So the only limits are the limits we give ourselves, right? And that's why I asked you, Jennifer, what do you see is unmovable? When there are no limits, what's unmovable? If everything is energy and information swimming around in a quantum soup, how can something be unmovable? But you're right, when we perceive it as unmovable, what's that word? Everything is energy and information, and it's that pushing against, that resistance, that resisting what is, what you resist persists, that creates the illusion of unmovable. So even when you feel like it's something that's out of your control, like what decisions politicians are making, or wars in other countries, and whatever you perceive is out of your control, when you stop resisting that energy, timelines shift, things change, things move, energy flows. So in that, nothing is unmovable when you stop resisting it. Like, that's just so beautiful what you said. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, because we're looking at the shadow aspect of the energy, right? The shadow aspect is there just as much as the sit here, the enlightened state is there. Everything is on this spectrum. We get to decide in that creating our reality where on that spectrum we're going to fall.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I remember hearing Esther and Jerry Hicks, or Esther, channeling Abraham once, and the question was posed to her, I bet many times, you're saying if our beliefs create our reality, then you're saying if somebody, his arm was chopped off and you believed it would grow back, it would grow back. And she's like, yes. So when you think about it like that, like, we have certain ideas of what is possible. And because we have those ideas and those beliefs, that's what we create, what's possible. But what if everything was possible? Like, what ideas are we bumping up against? Just, to go back to your talk, what you were talking about, the cosmic weather.
Yes.
Like, where are you feeling like it's not possible, either for the world or for yourself personally? And as I said, you're directly talking to the conversation I had with the builder just before we came online. He's telling me about all this stuff that's not possible. And I'm saying, of course it's possible. You're a builder. Figure it out. And he's like, it's not possible. It's not possible. And I'm in frustration. And I'm like, I've got to stop having this conversation, because I'm about to come on with the Galactic Gals and have an expanded conversation. And I'm in my limitedness, like, frustration. So I'm thinking to
it's
myself,
okay. We're allowed to be human too, though.
We're allowed to be
We're
human.
allowed to have those human emotions.
Instead of seeing him as a stupid builder that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, which is where I go, like, why can't you just figure this out? You're a builder. I've got to stop resisting that and start, flowing the energy towards him so that he can figure it out, right? Because I'm directly influencing him, even though I didn't realize that until your conversation, Jennifer. So thank you for that reminder.
Send him love. Send him love.
Send him love. Send him love.
It's expansive.
What upsets me is, and it's my drama, is that, when you're psychic, when people are flowing BS out of their mouth, and they do it so eloquently, and they think that they've got you snowed, they've got you covered. Let me just placate. Let me just calm this, silly woman and tell her a whole lot of bullshit just to make her feel good. And when someone's doing that, right? When you tune into people's frequency and energy. And that's what I get upset about. Because I tell people, I know you're lying, and they're like, they deny it. No, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Anyway.
I know for me, the tricky part is when they're lying to themselves.
Right.
Well, because then they don't think they're lying, but they actually are.
That's it. But as you say, we have power of influence. So as we stop thinking about them in the way they're presenting, and start thinking about them in the way that we would prefer them to be, then the game changes and the unmovable starts to move, as you say, even if it's out of what we think is out of our control. instead of hating politicians, thinking all politicians are really enlightened. and they know what to do for the best,
sending them love.
for the best course of humanity evolving into a galactic consciousness, and into a more unified consciousness. Because what we do is we look at what is, and we keep repeating it by talking about it, by hating it, by not liking it, and we keep it in place. Like we keep we keep it in place instead of thinking about it as we want to. Hey, Elsa, hey, darling one. And the gorgeous Mish, got some beautiful gals online.
There we are.
Yeah, you guys are having a great little conversation there. Yeah. So Mish says,
so I don't know.
Yes.
Did I answer your question? What do I do? So I call myself a teacher of deliberate creation. But I do so much more than that. Uplifting and supporting the light weavers, the star seeds, the wanderers, people. I've been on Earth a long time. Like I have memories of being on Earth for a long time. So although I've explored many, many different planets, Earth is something I'm quite familiar with. And I know there's a lot of people that are here specifically for the shift that are not really familiar with what happens here on Earth. Like I have spoken on the show to some amazing galactic consciousnesses, and they still get so caught up with judgment and criticism and anger, and yet they tell me, these amazing experiences. So they're kind of not used to the Earth experience. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does to you gals, right?
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that you can speak to people that have these incredible experiences, and they can bring through, they can download amazing wisdom from their galactic counterparts or their spiritual guides, but they're not really used to the whole Earth understanding. I remember once a channeler, she was a channeler that was channeling exalted wisdom. I had met her, and people were paying her lots of money for these conversations she was channeling. And then I met her, and she was complaining about this and complaining about that, complaining about the air, the flight over here to Australia and how long it was and how her legs hurt. And she was just in this whole sort of human complaint. And I just looked at her and I said, what do your guides say about that? And she just gave me a dirty look and walked away. So I was asking her to be accountable for what she teaches and actually living it. Like there are a lot of people that teach many things but don't necessarily live it. And
true.
Yeah.
Well, and it's such an
interesting being human.
when we talk about consciousness, and I think this is what spurred on the whole book, Spheres of Consciousness, as opposed to this ladder of emotional states where the heavier, denser states are bad and the joyous, loving, expansive states are good. We recognize that part of this human experience is that we have all of them within us all the time. So it's not about completely getting rid of those denser energies. It's about being able to meet them with the expansive energies, so that we're not alone in the density, but that we can bring that expansiveness into it. So now when there's anger or sadness or, any of those denser energies showing up, I can sit with those in a different way. So instead of sitting in the complaining, the venting, the yelling, whatever it is, I can go, okay, what is the message here? What is it trying to give me? What is it trying to do for me? Can I allow myself to sit in that and get that message with love, with joy, bring in some of that reason, right? So that I can then release it again and allow it to flow. But because we have this relationship with emotions, there's certain ones we want and certain ones we don't want. We miss a lot of the messages.
Yeah.
I know one of the most liberating things for me was when we realized we can actually feel all of those emotions all at the same time.
Yeah.
You think that we have to identify, okay, I have the feeling of sadness right now. But I'm also feeling happy, and I'm also feeling excited, and I'm also feeling sad for that person. And like, there's all these different ones that we can be feeling all at the same time. We're so multidimensional.
Yeah.
And I found that
Exactly.
liberating when I
Yeah.
first was on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just tuning into the energies of what's happening around the planet right now. And there's so many people mobilized out on the street, protesting one thing or another.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said to me the other day, you know, what's happening in Iran is terrible, but there's no one out there protesting. They're protesting Palestine. They're protesting, you know, this thing or that thing, LGBTQ rights and anti-ICE this. And, you know, like there's so many people mobilized across the planet out screaming for what they want. And then I was on, you know, some social media and I saw all these protests that were protesting what was happening in Iran and against the regime. And the overarching energy of the people that are out there on the streets is injustice, isn't it? They're protesting the injustice, like there is this great injustice in the world. And they're coming from a good place of wanting change, but they're doing the opposite of what you've asked them to do, right? In that they're in the resistance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there is something to be said for peaceful resistance too.
Peaceful
right?
resistance.
If I can come out here and say no and hold my ground that I am not going to stand for this, like the monks, right, that are walking across the states, like to be able to express and stand together for something, you know, there, as much as there is all of this diversity in the world right now, there's also a lot of people coming together that would not have come together if it wasn't for the fact that things are as difficult as they are. And when enough people are in unity against something, that's when something might be able to change. And it doesn't have to have violence. It doesn't have to have anger. It doesn't have to have any of that associated with it. But we also have to, if we feel called to, and if we are, you know, able to, then we stand up. And sometimes that standing up is sending light and love to the situation, right? And sometimes that standing up is, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to stand, right?
Yeah, I was watching something tragic on social media. This beautiful young Iranian fashion model. She wanted to, you know, make fashion. And she's had an Instagram post and she was showing all her fashion as it is in Iran, which was kind of really cute. I thought, oh, isn't that cute? But yeah, her mother was saying that she saw what was happening in the streets of Iran and she just wanted to be part of it. She wanted to be part of the uprising. And she went out there on the streets and she was shot in the head. And yeah, so all those people that are out there doing that feel that. They feel what you're saying, that if we come together and protest what we don't want, like push against what we don't want. Yeah, I don't know what's happening over there because, you know, there's an internet blackout, but it's a big part of the shift that's happening on planet Earth, isn't it? I mean, it's massive. It's massive. You talked about the galactic weather, but what's happening on planet Earth right now is huge. I mean, even the weather in Sydney is crazy. The physical weather, like we had one of the hottest days we've ever had, and then we had a week of flooding rain. So we're having simultaneously the biggest heat waves and the biggest floods we've ever had. Like that galactic weather is being interpreted into physical weather as well, and then political weather, and how people are reacting by people mobilizing all over the world out on the streets. Our government down under has banned Palestinian protests because every weekend for at least a year, there have been protests in the major cities all over Australia. And they get kind of violent because there's a lot of people out there wanting justice because they feel like there's injustice. But then there's a lot of terrorist groups that are egging it on. And so it's kind of interesting. And so there's the few wanting the sort of terror aspect, and then there's the majority wanting the justice, but the few are making it impossible for the majority. And so the government just said it's now illegal to protest, which is kind of a bit of a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out, girls.
Control mechanism?
Control mechanism. I'm trying to use,
it's a double-edged sword, right?
It is.
Because we want to do this for protection, and yet we have to be mindful of where people are at. And, you know, for those of us and, you know, anybody, I'm sure, Karen, who watches like your show or, you know, anybody here with us, being so highly sensitive, we take on so much of the collective energies just because we're sensitive to it. And so, you know, I recently did a post about how we're not designed to carry the weight of the world in real time, because our nervous systems don't differentiate. When we're watching something that happened on the news, our nervous system, our body feels like we're there. We're picking it up. We're taking on that energy, that shock, that, you know, frozen compassion, all of the things that can show up within us that activate us when we're experiencing trauma, whether we're in it or we're watching it. And so it's such an important thing for us to know, like, what is within my capacity, what is going to help me to be able to stay regulated so that I can do as much as I can do for that situation. Right?
Shirley's agreeing. I disagree. I disagree with that. That's the cry of every empath and sensitive I've ever met. And it was my cry for half of my life, that sensitivity and taking on the trauma and suffering. And, you know, and the guidance from many teachers like the Abraham Hicks is turn off the news, don't watch it. If it upsets you, don't watch it. But in fact, Desley posted in our group the other day, something saying that, you know, sensitives can't be out in crowds because we just take on all the density and the negative thought forms of people out there in the crowds and blah, 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 blah. And that's how I felt for years. But actually, as sensitives, we can only really suffer when we are a vibrational match to the frequencies that we're observing or that we're bumping up against. And so as we work on letting go of our own limiting ideas about ourselves and collective thought forms that we're storing in our subconscious, and you know, and that we've picked up on our DNA and our emotional trail, as we let go of that and we raise above that and we start to see the world through the eyes of source, we start to see it through our higher perspective or our soul's perspective, understanding that the game of life, the Leela, the dance of life, is this dance of opposites, the polarity, the contrast, like you were talking about before. And we can remove ourselves, we can witness it and see it without suffering. And that's where I go these days. When I watch the news, in fact, when I see the uprising and the people mobilize throughout the world protesting, I get excited, because years ago when I was facilitating the Academy of Light, remember I said at the beginning we were doing Monday night groups and there was a teacher every Monday night and I would facilitate it. I would introduce them and do a meditation and listen to people. Like I thought I didn't know anything and these revered teachers knew much more than me. And I was kind of always frustrated because I felt like they were just missing the point here, and that we are powerful creators. You know, we're not a victim to anything. But we had all these conversations about ascension and about how humanity's evolving. But I didn't see, like this is in the early 2000s, I didn't see anything changing in the world. So I'm sitting up in bed one night and I'm asking my tribe, my galactic, my mob, my guides, what is it going to take to really shift this world? And what they showed me was mass protests all over the world, people protesting all over the world. And that confused me, because the light workers were talking about love and light, you know, and the new earth and ascension and love and light and love and light. And I asked the question, what is it going to take to change the world? And they're showing me all these people out on the street screaming and yelling. And I'm like, what? And now I'm like, that was over 20 years ago. And now I'm looking at it on my television screens, what I saw in my, you know, vision, what I was given, what is it going to take to change the world I'm seeing? So it's exciting.
The thing is we can have peaceful protest. Like if you think about the thousands and thousands of people who have turned out protesting, probably millions of people who have turned out protesting, and the protesters themselves have not done anything. They are staying peaceful.
The majority of them,
Not
all of them. Yeah, exactly.
But this is the thing. And, you know, when it comes to the sensitivity piece, like I do think it is important to recognize that as a human in a human form, our nervous system is impacted, right? We can sit above it and we can say, okay, I'm going to recognize the oneness of all things. And the reality is, in that place, there isn't really war, and there isn't death or separation, and there isn't all of those things. But that doesn't mean that the nervous system in the body doesn't actually respond or feel something. And so that's where we have to be able to ground ourselves, right? And so it's not to say like you can't do those things. You can most definitely do those things as long as you're aware. Again, this is that limitation reality piece. I have to recognize what is actually happening so that I can change it, channel it, move it, regulate it, adjust it, so that I can be in that place that you're talking about.
Well, that's true. Or I'm going to give you a teaching from the beautiful Michael Tamura, who is constantly with me. He was a masterful teacher here on earth. I had him on my show many times. He left his body about a year or two ago. I don't know, time eludes me. What seems like yesterday, people go, that was 2 years ago, that was 3 years ago. I'm like, really? Anyway.
There is no time and space.
There is no time and space. We were talking about this on one of our Inner Sanctum groups, and he was as our guest teacher. And we were talking about the sensitivity of the empath and the light worker. And he was talking about, imagine yourself like a clean paint, like glass window. And you can see the sun outside and it moves into the window and through the window. He said, energy is like that. If you see yourself as this clear glass window, energy can move into you, but it just moves through you. It doesn't stay there and impact you and impact your emotions. I mean, it does, but this is the challenge we give ourselves as empaths on a evolutionary journey, as we learn to not be tossed around by the waves in the ocean, and we learn to sort of get on the surfboard and ride the waves. Do you know what I mean? Like, to not be the victim to the denser energies here in this third dimensional reality, is to have the energies move through you, but not stay there within. Like, if it's a dirty window, maybe the energy doesn't move through. It enters the window, but stays there. But I thought that was a beautiful analogy that he gave, just to allow that energy to move through you. So yeah, you feel it, but it doesn't impact you negatively. It just passes through you. And as you were saying, Tanis, it's like feeling those denser energies, those negative emotions, is the beauty of being human. Because when you're dead, you can't feel them. You know,
that's right.
Like,
yeah,
when you're
that's why we're here.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so loving them rather than resisting them, coming back to the resistance, it's like, wow, I'm feeling, frustrated right now, or I'm feeling sad right now, I'm feeling the injustice of the world right now, and just let it flow through you. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, rather than suffering from it. Heidi, hello, darling one. There's lots of beautiful
lots of messages.
chats on low, lots of messages. Pogo, what is Pogo saying?
There's here, I didn't put it here.
I had that issue last weekend, heart and anxiety racing. Yeah, I couldn't do anything with the situation. Stuck in the States video on someone's Instagram. I wouldn't know how not to feel that. Yeah.
It's true.
And this is the thing, like, we're, this idea that we're meant to feel, we are, because we are all connected. We're meant to feel all of the different things, but all of the different things are not meant to weigh us down, right? This is where, when we were talking about our relationship with the emotions, the denser emotions, if we look at them and go, oh no, it's not okay, I can't feel those, I'm not okay if I feel those,
right,
then we aren't going to be able to move through them. But if we can meet them with that expansiveness, that's, I think, in line, Karen, with what you were saying about moving beyond, then we can feel the dense emotions and they can flow through.
Yeah, they flow through us. Let's get galactic. I'm here with the galactic gals. I call you galactic gals because you're both amazing. I just love the galactic conversation. Let's talk about what Ross called her. I was listening to Ross last night. I love Ross because he's a New Zealander, but he was an Australian news presenter here on our television screens in Australia. And he was part of the 60 Minutes team. And that sort of legacy media, like the 60 Minutes, because you have your 60 Minutes in the States as well, in Canada. I'm sure you have the 60 Minutes in Canada, is all part of that legacy media, which for many years have scoffed at conversations like talking to aliens or, UAPs or you. And so here's this legacy media guy that's out there on the forefront of disclosure, and he's talking about, he goes so far and he gets stopped, his woo-woo meter, like he's come a long way, Ross. But I was listening to him yesterday getting stopped. It's like, can I believe in this stuff? But I love watching people's minds expand until, and I just love that. Saying that, like there's been a lot of things happening in Congress where they're really exploring the UAP and the cover-ups, and then he said that the Trump administration is putting that all on hold for now, because of all the wars around the world, and Iran and Venezuela and all that's happening, like the chaos that's happening. They're going to put all that disclosure discussion on hold. How do you gals feel about that?
They can try.
That's exactly what I thought. That is exactly what they can try.
They can do it in government, but it's not going to stop the conversations that are happening. They're happening all over the world, and they're not being done by the governments. They're being done by all of us that are in conversation with the galactics. It's not. I'm getting confirmation on that as we speak. So, it's about it's like a grassroots thing now. It's not about what the governments are doing. So, they can try. But
it's never been about what the government is doing, really, has it? As much as it's exciting to see Congress waking up to this conversation. But I guess that when government starts talking about it, for all those people that have been asleep and that have been calling it crazy and woo-woo and insane to believe in aliens and UFOs, when government starts talking about it, they get to look at the conversation, they get to look at the subject differently. Government's talking about it, maybe it's not crazy to think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and just the fact that they were, okay, we're going to move forward with some disclosure. Oh, actually, no, we're not. That tells you something. Whether
So they can try.
They can try. Ross was saying, I don't know why they're doing that. And I'm like, yes, you do. Like, you know exactly why they're doing that. Why do you gals think that mainstream, like government, don't want to disclose the reality of a galactic cosmos and that we're all connected? What do you think? Here am I doing the interview. I can't
going down the conspiracy theory roadmap here for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they've been working with interstellar technology for a long time. Why on earth would they want to disclose what they have so that other people know what they're working on and what they're experimenting with?
Yeah, Pogo. What's her name? Her real name, Pogo.
Kaylee.
Because it'll rip off the blindfold. It just reminded me of, remember the Thrive movie? There's Thrive 2 now. Foster Gamble put out that movie called Thrive, and it came out in 2012, I think. He was actually out in Australia. I met him. You haven't seen it? Oh, it's incredible. No. It's a 2-hour documentary on everything. For me, when I watched it, it put all the puzzle pieces into place. It talks about crop circles, and one of the most beautiful things in the movies is they 3D animate the crop circles so that they become it's beautiful. We don't just see them as a flat. They say a lot of the patterns in the crops have been like energy systems, and they've been the galactics showing how they propel their vehicles. And I remember seeing that back in 2012 going, whoa, wow, like just blown away. But it goes into every aspect of this conversation. It talks about the corruption of government and the suppression of humanity and the suppression of consciousness and the galactic conversation. And, Nassim Haramein is on there, and lots of people talking about lots of science and statistics and stuff. But just getting back to what I was saying, there is an image of somebody with a blindfold on, and they're lifting up this one eye like this. It's like ripping off the blindfold. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the second Thrive movie, it took him 2012. It took him a decade, I think, to make the second movie. Is a lot about free energy. He goes around the world looking at different free energy systems, and talks a lot about, how the corruption around that, how there's been so much technology that has been on our planet for years, as you say, Jennifer. The government has got it all, and yet when people invent it, they get downloads from their tribe, their mob, and they start inventing this stuff, they just get taken out. But he does meet a few people. He goes to Africa and he meets someone who's created it's a rather large apparatus machine, which just creates energy from the atmosphere. But it's big. I see it as a toaster size. Like when I think of energy, I see this little machine that we just connect to our house that just generates energy without being on any sort of grid. Forget wind farms and solar powers. It's here, but yet they won't disclose it. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could call that conspiracy theory, but I guess that something like that, if there are people making trillions and trillions of dollars charging everybody for energy, then why would they want that? It's a money game. Yeah.
Well, and because of that greed, I mean, that's why the galactics haven't come down yet, right? We have to be in the right state for them to do that, because if we're not ready, we're just going to jump into fear, and then that's counterproductive to what they want for us, right? I mean, I was called into a meeting one day with the Pleiadians and the Arcturians, and they were like talking back and forth. The Pleiadians are like, can we go down now and just help? We want to help. And the Arcturians are like, we have a process for this. We got to follow the process. And then I arrive and they're like, so are you ready? I'm like, well, I'm ready. I don't know about the rest of the world, but let's go check in with the other ambassadors. But there's a process around it for that reason, I think, right? We need to be in the right space for us to tap in as a collective. Many of us are already tapping in. But I think the more that we can get that, it's that grassroots I was talking about, right? The more we get the word out by having these kind of conversations, the more it introduces the idea so that it doesn't become fear-filled as it might have. Yeah. Because fear is not where we want to be. We've got enough fear on the planet. We need to shift out of that now. Yeah, exactly. And start into acceptance. And
I love the conversations you gals have on Twillow Talk, and I've watched a couple of them, and they're such beautiful, soulful conversations. And I think to myself, like, you're not really getting huge traction on these conversations yet, but there are other conversations out there on the internet that are talking about disclosure, like there's the Roth Kultas and the Jesse Michaels and the Area 52s, but they're not delving into the nuances and the consciousness technology like you gals. And I see a lot of podcast shows like that. And I just wonder, maybe the collective, even the people that have awakened, are just not ready for that yet. I don't know. I'm sort of gauging through podcast shows what people are interested in. Is it the algorithms? Is it the conversation? Is it the level of frequency of the conversation? What do you girls think?
I think it's a combination of that. When you bring a frequency to a show, and whatever frequency you're at, the people that are watching are going to be meeting that, because that's where that's what happens, right? So I think that it's partially that. I mean, algorithms are algorithms, and whatever.
But there are things that are, I mean, in the very 3D technology world where we go, I don't know about SEO, and I don't know about doing, this, that, and the other thing in terms of the algorithm piece. And so there are those components. But, I also believe that we will be exactly where we're meant to be when we're meant to be there. And, to this consciousness piece, and we've talked about it on the show, even those of us who have had contact, if we And I say this because like I've heard the ships overhead. I've had those experiences. But if they actually landed in my backyard, having all the experiences I have, all the memories of past life stuff, I would be lying if I didn't say, I think my heart might be pounding a little harder that day.
Well, I have to say that was kind of what it was like when the mantis beings arrived.
Mhm.
I had a situation. I had just finished teaching a class in my sunroom, a channeling class, and all of a sudden I hear, "May I speak with you, please?" And I was like, and there's this like, 8-foot mantis being standing just outside the sunroom, not in the 3D, granted, but it felt like it to me. And so I walked out and I'm like, "Can I help you? We understand you are a galactic ambassador." I'm like, "Yeah, apparently so." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "We would like you to pass on a message. Can you please let humans know that not all insectoids are nefarious?" I'm like,
Yes.
"Okay, yep, And I'm like, and he goes, "Thank you." And he toddles off to the back where there's 5 more. I was like,
Oh, really? I love the mantis.
okay.
Have you ever had Jaylene Tracy on your show? You should get her on. She channels the mantis. I've had her on the show a few times. She's gorgeous. Do you know who she is, Jennifer? Jaylene Tracy. Oh, she's lovely. I'll introduce you. She channels her guides are the mantis. I was sitting up in bed one night again chatting to the mob, and I had this was a few years ago, and I had this thought in my head. I wonder what I look like when I'm not in a physical body, thinking I'm going to see some sort of energy orb, right? So I posed the question, what do I look like when I'm not in a physical body? And I'm sure my guides did this to like have a joke with me, to bring me a truth, but also to have a joke with me, because they knew what I was expecting. And they gave me, and a big green mantis head just like came into it was almost like we were nose to nose with each other. It was this massive triangular green. It was green mantis head. And I just got such a fright. I went, "Oh, it's not expecting that." I was not expecting that at all. And it said something.
Yeah.
I just was such a shock. It sort of shocked me out of the, the meditative state that I was in. And then I started laughing, like, what was that all about? And I guess that, they're showing me that this is one of the forms that I've taken on when I'm not in a physical form. It wasn't really answering my question, but I wasn't specific enough. Like, what do I look like when I'm not in this body, this physical form? Well, this is the form that you've taken. I'm like, okay. But I've got to tell you something. I've only told Kristen, I've never said this publicly. The other night, probably about a week or two ago, sitting in bed watching television, and I don't know what I was watching, but I see physically lights all the time, and I just chat and say, hello, you're here. Often I think about what I've been thinking when a light shows up, because they're usually responding to my thoughts, right? And just saying hello, whether it's spirit or guides or whoever it is, they're all different colors. But this night I'm sitting in bed, and between myself and the bed, the end of the bed and the chest of drawers that the television sits on, that's a few feet, I saw this energy start trying to manifest. I don't even know how to describe it. So it was like golden circular rings of light, thin golden circular rings of light, about 3 of them, that were oscillating but moving through each other. And inside it, there was just like a blurry form. It was about 3 foot, but it was like something was trying to manifest in my bedroom. I've never seen anything like that before. And I'm just sitting there going, because I'm seeing it with my outside eyes, my physical eyes, I'm going, what is going on? I'm saying this because Jennifer, you said if they land outside the house, I'd be like, what? How would I react?
Yeah.
But I was reacting with excited surprise. I wasn't scared at all. But then it went away. Like, as quickly as it came, it went away. And it was like trying to manifest. I don't know what it was. Maybe I can ask you gals to tune in. I was so in the excitement of it and the surprise of it that I couldn't tune in myself. And but something was just seeing the circular rings of golden light oscillating
Mm.
It felt like moving, but moving through each other, and not straight. They were sort of bending through each other like this and going up and down. It was absolutely fast. I've never seen anything like that before. So that was only a couple of weeks ago. So I'm like, come back. What were you trying? Who was that?
The image that comes to mind, if you've ever, seen Star Trek or any of those, when they're doing like the teleporter and it has the oscillating kind of energies going.
That's what I felt like, something teleported.
That's what I was seeing too. Yeah,
I was
something
thinking
like
about
that.
it afterwards, but when I think of the teleport, what they do in the show is that everything just sort of turns to light and then fizzles out. I don't really remember seeing. It looked familiar to me, but I was trying to think of a movie that I had seen that oscillating rings of light, and I couldn't think what it was.
You've seen it in your other experiences.
I don't know that it's necessarily that way in the movie, but I feel like that's the way. Maybe it's past life remembering, but like that's what it actually is like, as opposed to the way that it is done in the
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing as soon as you were talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like it's
so
like a portal kind of message.
Coming? Someone was coming. Who was it? I'd love to know who it was. The image was not cool. Mm-hmm.
I was seeing a little gray.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A little gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the grays often talk to me. They talk to me specifically about, they talk to me about a lot of things, but they talk to me about telepathy, about how to, but in fact, one of those people I was talking about that has these amazing experiences, I've mentioned her many times on, talks about being a child up on the ships. Many people have spoken about and how the greys are teaching them about their capacity of the mind. They're teaching them about how to shift things with their mind. One of the experiences that she had, which I loved, I talk about it often, is that she said as a child, she was in this room and the frequency, the energy of the room shifted. And it sort of became like steamy, like smoky. And like the wall moved apart and the floor dropped away. And it was like they were all suspended and floating in this room. And she said there was a grey teacher and there were hybrid children, human children, and grey, little greys. So they were teaching them. So the teacher was asking them to dematerialize the molecules of their physical body and rematerialize it into something else. Like, I'm like, whoa. And the teacher did it like going from a grey body to, I don't know, a flower or just something else, another form, utilizing the molecules of their body. And she said that most people could do it except for the human kids couldn't do it. And I said, why couldn't the human kids do it as efficiently, or just couldn't get there? And she said, we couldn't reach, and she considers herself a hybrid, we couldn't reach that level of joy that they were reaching, or bliss, or ecstatic, that we couldn't raise our frequency up to that heightened frequency that allowed us to do that. And I'm like, wow, that's so fascinating, because they're used to the, maybe the human form or the DNA up until now hasn't managed to hold that frequency. Yeah. But I found that really fascinating.
So I have a hybrid daughter who is out there, and I think she showed me one of the rooms that they do some of that. I went there one time and she was like showing me around the ship that she's on, and she was helping at the time. She's moved on to flight school now, but at the time she was helping with the hybrid program and the hybrid children. And so she was showing me kind of the rooms, and one of them we went in and they were doing levitation stuff, and then another one they were doing that kind of thing and really working on telepathy, and it was fascinating. It was fascinating to walk through and see that.
Fascinating. Were you up there, Tanith? Were you up there in your physical body or your astral form? When
astral.
You were astral, yeah.
But I think I was there for quite a while at one point, because so in my physical body I went like 90 days without a period, and I thought I was pregnant, but all the tests kept coming back that I wasn't pregnant. And then I ended up having a period, and I thought that I had had a miscarriage and stuff. And then a medium told me once that I had a daughter, and she asked if I'd had a miscarriage. And I said, well, I don't really know, but it feels like it. And then she said, your daughter's here. And I could literally feel her hugging me from behind that day.
Yeah.
And then over the course of time, I ended up having chats with her, and then she came in her true form. So I was at my naturopath's office, and we were talking about hybrid children, and I hadn't even thought about it really very much. And all of a sudden she starts talking about hybrid children, and I just burst out crying. I could not. And it was like this heartbreak that came through, and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying, but I'm just so sad.
Yeah.
and then she showed herself to me there, and it was and she had like the big large eyes and the blue skin, and she looked much like me, taller. She's Pleiadian human hybrid. And so she
hasn't got big gray eyes. She's just got bigger human eyes.
Bigger human eyes, and they're bright, and they're quite blue.
And bluish skin, like a blue tinge to a skin.
Yeah. So she looks somewhat like how I did when I was in that lifetime with Jen during the Galactic Wars, right? Except she has dark hair like I do here. So it's that kind of a blue though. So it's quite, and I think what happened, they showed me afterwards, because I was having all of this emotional stuff with it. They showed me that I actually was there. So they pulled me out of my body at night. One night I went there, and I was actually with her apparently for like quite a while, like a couple of years in the early years. And then I went back into my body at exactly the same moment with the forgetting, right? They took away the memories. And so then part of my emotional part about all that was I was having these memories of her and being with her up there, and then having the memory of having to leave her there. And that was quite upsetting. And they're like, you're not supposed to be remembering that. Why are you remembering that? You're supposed to remember that. I'm like, I don't know. So, but it's nice because I can go and visit her now that I have the knowledge and I've worked through it. So was I there physically?
Do you have human children? Do you have physical children in this lifetime? You do, yeah. And did you tell them about this? Did you share this with them?
I did, because her name is Celia, and my son, he's 26 now. He's going to be 27 next month.
Oh wow!
He had an imaginary friend. That was a seal.
A seal.
And one of my early conversations with Celia was, I really wanted to play with Morgan, so I would show up as a seal, and he would see me, and we'd play.
So cute. Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And I told Morgan that, and he got chills all the way down his body as confirmation.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. So
wow.
they know each other. Yeah. It's quite fun.
And Jennifer, I don't remember if I asked you when I had you on the show, do you have hybrid children as well?
I do. I
think you might have told me that.
Yeah. Well, and it was an interesting experience because I was on Zoom with Tanis, and I'm like, I think I'm going into labor right now.
I helped deliver a hybrid baby.
Midwife.
Over the internet.
Well, and it was a very similar experience to what Tanis shared of going for a short period of time and not having a period, but not, being pregnant and kind of going, okay, I don't know what's happening. And then, actually going into labor. And it was very reminiscent of the experience I had when I had my kids. And I'm like, okay, this is wild. And and Kaylee saying, Tanis, you're a pro at this point, because
yes.
It's been like a thing now of helping deliver some hybrid children.
Yeah, I helped Kaylee at one point too. So.
Well, this is what Gail was doing up on the ships. Her stories of what she was doing up on the ships as a human hybrid, as a nurse here on the physical, but also working in that realm on a ship. I should introduce you to Gail too. Did I introduce you to Gail for your show? I'll get her back on the show. She was fascinating. But my understanding of the hybrid program, as I'm listening to you galactic gals talk about it, is that they have the ability to, like we do, to take some eggs, because we come in, with how many eggs does a human woman have? We've got a few, right? We've got a lot. And then, create test tube babies, as we can do too, but outside of the mother's womb. So there's probably more than, I think that what you're seeing is that they've gestated the form inside your physical body for a period of time before they've taken it, but they don't necessarily need to do that. It's just one way. So that you've probably got more than one, hybrid child, I would say. You've probably got many. Yeah.
Probably.
Why waste all those eggs?
What's coming, which is really interesting, is that the ones who do gestate with us are meant to have a little bit more of that density in
connection.
Their experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Just to help make the ability to come back and forth easier, which is interesting, because one of the comments that had come through, I think it was from what was it, Wellwood, saying about how, we think we need spaceships. But, these hybrid children can come and hug their Earth moms. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that ability to just be in that density, I think that might be what's coming through, is that's part of why some of them come through as.
Absolutely. I've had that conversation with people on the show that they specifically wanted that connection with the human mother, that emotional connection. Because I think that, with the Greys, they had engineered a lot of their ability to feel, to flow emotions out of their DNA, and they're trying to regain that. And so as they regain that, they want the hybrid children to have an emotional bond to the human mother, some sort of bond, some sort of emotional connection as well. Yeah.
Well, and my impression was that that she's going to be coming down like as part of one, as one of this is what we're giggling about, guys. That she's going to be coming down as as one of the first ones to come down, and so because
physically on Earth.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And so that's because I was like, she told me that at the first sort of when I realized she was a hybrid, and I was like, okay. It was in the middle of COVID, so I was like, all right. I came home, my son, my husband, and my mom were all sitting in the living room. I said, okay, here's the deal. I know we're on like lockdown and stuff, but if a woman shows up at the door who's a little bit blue skin, big blue eyes, and my hair, she's coming in. She's my daughter. They were all like,
love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Just telling you.
It.
It wasn't time yet, but I was that was how sure I was.
There are so many galactics here on Earth already. I'm talking to a couple right now, but even Garnet talks about, so Garnet Schulhauser is someone I've had on the show many times, who in his 50s, late 50s, was woken up by a spirit guide who appeared to him as a homeless man, and takes him around the cosmos and shows him all this stuff and says, write it down to share with humanity. And one of the people that he met was a university professor who was teaching physics at a university in the States, who was an ET that was posing as a human. And I think he said Arcturian, I can't remember. So they were blue. They looked quite ET looking, alien, but they had this holographic technology that they could switch on to look completely human, so that anyone that's looking at them through physical eyes would only see a human. But when they turned it off, they looked quite alien, like a blue person. And I'm like, wow. I remember he told me that years ago. How many more of those are around? Can I look at them with my psychic eye and see what they really look like? I haven't seen any of them yet, but I'm still waiting. But it's amazing how they can walk amongst us, in their ET bodies, but have different technology that they can, that we can only see humans. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and that's some of the technology that
Hey,
you were
Vladdy.
talking about, right?
Yes.
With them doing the shifting their body. That's part of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kaylee, she says she's met my daughter in dream state.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
beautiful.
You've met her too, I think, Jen?
Mhm.
Met Celia a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Letty's comment. Karen just said hi, but much love to all hybrid mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Vladdy B. Yes. Shirley's waving. So Wellwood is Shirley.
Shirley. Nice to meet you, Shirley.
And what's
Beautiful.
Hypnicity's name?
Nalani.
Melanie.
Nalani, yeah.
So
Yeah.
where are we going to go now, gals? Where do you want to go now? We could go anywhere. This has been such a fascinating conversation. It makes me want to stay on Earth. I get so bored with the whole 3D Earth experience sometimes.
Yeah.
But when I have
I
these
agree.
conversations,
When we get into the galactic.
Yeah, exactly.
it's the only thing that really lights me up these days to walk through crowds in on the streets and to look for somebody that might not be quite human, to like look at people through my third eye instead of my physical eyes. Because for the most part, as humans, when we walk through crowds, we just ignore people, right? We don't look at people. I'm going to the shop, I'm going to the beach, I'm going here, I'm just, I won't look at the people around me. But actually, there could be amazing people around us.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say, Jennifer?
I remember having an experience. This was many years ago, and I was actually driving down Bank Street, which is a really busy, crowded street in downtown Ottawa here. And I remember actually having to pull over because as I was driving, I had this experience of seeing all of the energy connecting everyone.
Beautiful.
And going, wow. And then feeling all of that connectedness. So I was feeling me in my car, and I was feeling the person walking down the street, and the person in the shop, and the person and I had to pull over just to sit in that because I could not navigate in it. And so to what you're saying about really seeing each other, when those beautiful opportunities arise to be able to really sit in that connected energy, all of a sudden we see everything and everyone in a completely different way.
Yeah. On this week's Elevate show I did with Kristen, we spoke about the energy of belonging and how so many, because she comes from that Mormon church, and she was showing me a video of this amazing guy. He made these amazing videos of leaving the Mormon church and why he did what he did for the church and the promise that they made. And so many organizations promise this, you belong to us. If you believe in what we believe in, now you're a part of our family. I mean, mafia, like the whole mafia movies are like that. You're one of us, you belong. Now go out and murder people. So like we get in the trap as humans, we get so much in the trap of needing to belong. And so we join organizations, parties, systems, because we need to belong. But if we didn't need to belong, if we understood that we do belong, that we don't have to find somewhere to belong, that we can belong to everything. And I played a clip from the Powder movie. Have you ever seen the Powder movie? It's my all-time favorite movie. It was made in the 90s, 95. Have you not seen it, ladies? Not seen Powder?
I think so. Is that the
I
one
haven't
with
seen that.
the it's albino? Is that the one?
Yeah. So this child is born, his mother is killed by lightning, and she gives birth to him and she dies. And he's a complete albino, but his whole electrical frequency is different. And electricity chases him like lightning. And so he has to live a cloistered life. And he's completely white. I mean, the actor, Sean Flannery, what's his name? Sean, anyway, Connor, can't think of his name. He's got all this makeup on to make him look white, but and he's supposed to be hairless, but the actor does have eyelashes. They couldn't pluck out his eyelashes.
Yes, no, that would not be nice.
He's supposed to be this hairless being. He's totally telepathic. He's completely, they don't say it. He doesn't say in the movie I'm telepathic, but he's just this ET here on Earth. And there's a scene in the movie where he's talking to a high school girl and talking about this connectedness. And he said, you know, you humans have this spot, and he points to the third eye, where you believe you're separate, but really we're all united. It's this beautiful scene in this movie. And she said, you mean I'm connected to a fisherman in Japan or a person? And she talks about all these things, and we're all connected. I can't understand that. I don't understand how we're all connected. It's such a beautiful scene. I could play it on the show. I can find it on YouTube. But yeah, and
Nice.
he talks about how, because we feel so separate to each other, how when we communicate, we come up with all these lies. Like we try to look good. We don't really communicate authentically and honestly with each other, because we feel so separate to each other. It's such a beautiful part, and it's so true. It's exactly what we do. Yeah,
It absolutely is. I talk about that with clients so often. There's a story I read years ago, and it talked about how instead of truly meeting somebody where they're at and being open and curious about who is this person and what did they see and perceive, and that ability to really connect in the oneness and in the individual experience, because that's what we are here for, right? We're here to have an experience that is part of the oneness and individual all at the same time. But instead of doing that, because we have all these filters that we're conditioned with once we're born here, that what ends up happening is, here I am sitting here with my little marionette of me and my little marionette of you, and I'm having a lovely little conversation. And you're sitting over there with your marionette of me and your marionette of you, and you're having a lovely little conversation.
Yeah.
And we don't, unless we're able to recognize the filters that we have in place and consciously, intentionally work to remove them, we don't ever really have that deep connection moment. But if we can recognize what all of that conditioning does, then we can go, okay, I'm going to put my marionettes down. Tell me more.
Right.
Yes,
exactly. Years ago, I did a personal growth workshop called the Landmark Forum. Have you heard of that, Landmark Forum? Anyway, and you have, right?
Yeah.
One of the advanced courses was, I can't remember what they called it. They had a name for it, but there was this technology, exactly speaking to what you're talking about, Jennifer, of having a conversation with someone. And what they said is, try to have a conversation with your mother, your brother, your lover, your flatmate, your friend, and come from nothing, like coming from nothing. So, and people are like, what, coming from nothing? So every time you have a conversation with them, and this is what Byron Katie says, no two people actually meet. You only meet your ideas of them. You only meet your belief about them. So having a conversation with your mother, like my daughter has this belief, this very strong belief, Mum doesn't listen to me. And I said to her, I listening is actually the way how I operate in the world. I listen to people, but you're the only person on the planet I don't listen to. So imagine having a conversation with Mum coming from nothing, like not coming with, you don't listen to me, or they believe, like coming from nothing. It was such a great exercise. I remember I was in my early 30s when I did it. It was profoundly changed the way I communicated with people, because we do come to our conversations with our ideas of who we think people are and how they're going to receive what we say. You're going to like this, you're not going to like this, you're not going to understand, you'll think I'm crazy, whatever but can we have that conversation with someone coming from nothing? Like, drop all your marionettes. Is that what you called it, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Drop all your ideas of who you think that person is and come from nothing, come from no concept. Like, meet them, like really meet them. Yeah, easier said than done, but something to master while we're here on earth, right?
Absolutely. It was interesting. And we've talked about this on Twillow Talk before. And I brought it up with Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys. And he, in one of the Gene Keys, he says about how if we perceive that we know someone, how can we truly love them? Because the moment that we do that, we love our perception of them as opposed to who they really are in that moment.
Yes.
And it's such an incredible thing to be able to just step back and getting rid of our filters is hard. So the easiest thing is just to recognize them. If I know I have them, then at least I can go, okay, that's my filter thought. Now what else is possible?
Yeah. Well, you say it's hard, and I would say it's the challenge we give ourselves. And sometimes we take lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Perfect is not the right, trying to meet that challenge in a graceful way. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's the challenge we give ourselves. Coming back to that conversation I was having this morning, because I know this guy, like spews out lies just to shut me up. And so this is my idea of him. And so everything he says to me, I'm coming from that idea of him. Can I drop that and have a different conversation with him? Like, that's the challenge I'm going to give myself tomorrow, right? When I meet
the
him
opportunity.
again. Yes, the opportunity.
The opportunity for you to step into.
Step into another idea. Because even when you're psychic and you can hear what they're really thinking, you're only hearing their distortion. You're not really hearing their soul talking. Like Michael Tomorrow, coming back to the beautiful Michael, used to say, I meet people's souls and not their ego personality and their conditioned thought forms. And like, can we meet each other's soul and not bump up against their ego personality? Yeah, that's the challenge we give ourselves as souls having a human experience, being physically focused. What's Mish saying here? Nothing is still something, lol.
Yep.
Coming from nothing. Yeah, coming from nothing. Yeah.
There was one
The
question.
soul.
There's a question back here that I just wanted to make sure that we responded to. I like to make sure we get those questions. Have you visited the homes of your hybrid children? I have. Have you, Jen?
I have.
Yeah. So that for me, it was the ship, and because she lives mostly on a ship at this point. And that was where we were. She was showing me around. She has a room on that ship. What was yours like, Jen?
Well, and so when I went to visit, so in the Lyran Legacy, which actually I talked about on with KAren on your show, but in there I talk about it's called the Stellar Nexus, and it is an intergalactic space base that has everything in it.
Yeah.
And so for the hybrid children, often when they're really little, my mind started there. And so I was able to see her on the base with the families that have, taken on the hybrid children. Sorry, the dogs are losing their minds. Maybe
they have an opinion.
She probably just popped in because she knows I'm talking about her.
Probably.
And so that's where she was, and so she had a home in a community within that station.
Yeah.
And then what I'm understanding is that as they grow up, so we have the Celestial Academy that was there even in our lifetime way back when, and they have learning missions that they go on where they travel to all different places for learning and growth and development. And so then they do end up spending a lot of time on ship and have homes on the ships. But the ships are not quite what we see the ships to be always in movies, right? The ships that they're on are often a very organic ships with lots of life in the ships.
Green. Yeah.
So so they're
they have beautiful greenhouses and stuff on the ship that she was on. That was something else that I saw when I was there. And I think it is the Stellar Nexus that I had the memory about having to leave her there because she was quite young. And I think it was probably that. It was this big open area, like a few football fields size, that was like a park right on the ship, or right on the space station. And so it was quite it's quite something. That's where I take people when I take them to see their children, is usually to that park. So that would when you said the Stellar Nexus, I was like, oh, right, that's where that was.
So the Stellar Nexus is the name of a ship? Is that the name of a ship? The Stellar Nexus?
Like a hub.
It's
like a hub.
Like a space station, yeah.
Oh, the space station, the Stellar Nexus. How cool. So many, ETs live all their lives on a ship, don't they? Like, but these ships, like you say, are almost like worlds. They're like manufactured worlds. And I guess they're born there, they die there. I don't know. They live for a long time. But
and travel a lot.
It wouldn't be so bad, because you could go to any planet and look at any planet in the cosmos. Like, yeah, so you're not sort of stuck on a ship. You've got the universe to play with. I mean, so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jen and I have memories of being on the other planets and stuff, and it was quite. I mean, the reason she and I were friends were because our parents would take us back and forth from one planet to another in that lifetime, and so being in Celestial Academy, we would be traveling a fair bit to these other places, and my mother was like a horticulturalist or a plant medicine healer, and so she would go, and we would travel all over looking for the healing plants on the different planets and bring them back to this big greenhouse thing and stuff. So it was pretty cool. We traveled a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bloody says he sounds amazing. He has another question. Do you want to bring up his other question? He's full of questions, Bloody. He's going to start his own podcast show.
What do your children love to do in their free time? That is a good question. I don't know that. I think she just loves what she does. I don't think my daughter. I think she reads. Like there's like a form of reading, but it's not like reading like we have here. It's like it's almost an absorption.
I'm just asking my mob, and that what they're telling me is they don't have the concept of free time, because all time is just time. It's not like we have, go to school or go to work and then we have free time. It's just all living. It's like they don't see it as my free time. It's like, it's just, this is what I'm doing now, and this is what I'm doing now. Now I'm learning, and now I'm reading, and now I'm resting. They don't have the concept of free time. Yeah, which is a very human experience, because we do things we don't want to do, like go to school and go to work, right? And then we have free time. Now we're free from the limitations of what it is to be human. Yeah, they don't have that concept.
No, they enjoy what they do. Like, there's just this innate joy there, so they don't have to step into that kind of concept.
Well, and this is one of the things that has come through so clearly, whether it was through the book or through things that have come through since then, is that we, again, our filter, right? We are trying to understand the galactics and what it is to live like them through all of our filters.
Conditioning.
Exactly. And so even, I remember with the book, one of the things was somebody was like upset because they were like, oh yeah, she put herself in this role and blah, 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 without understanding that, like, in that time, in that race and that energy, there is no one is better than the other. There is no one thing that we can do is somehow higher elevated than something else. It really is truly, we do what we're passionate for. So we come in with all of these roles and things that we're going to do, and the studying of it, the learning of it, all of it is my whole body is just like the enjoyment that is there for just being in it and being in the energy of it is such a different way of experiencing than what we are generally conditioned to hear.
Exactly. There's so many things.
Huge love. It's just always love, like always joy. It's that high vibration. It's not something we experience here all that often at all.
Like but Bloody says, so basically they're always engaged in what they love. But I think that to the galactics, when they look at the human society and how we think and how we feel and how we operate, there's so many concepts they don't get. They scratch their head and they go, huh? I don't get that. Free time? You need free time? Isn't all time free? It's like, there's so many things, ideas we have about life that they just don't get, which is so cute, really, isn't it? It's like, would it be great?
They look at us like kindergartens, They're like, oh, you're so cute.
Actually,
are you feeling angry? Oh,
when you say that, Tanis, they don't look at us like kindergarten. I'm sorry. They're saying they don't look at us like kindergarten. They look at us like that. To hold that belief, that construct is challenging. It's difficult. It's not like easy, like a kindergarten blocks it's like hard, like a complex mathematical equation. It's hard to navigate. So they see it as difficult rather than easy, like kindergarten is what they're sharing with me. And I'm like, yeah, you try it.
School. It's school, and it's difficult for sure.
It's
yes.
difficult. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
they're laughing.
Yeah. No,
We've got a whole gang watching. We haven't just got the people online that are commenting or not commenting. We've got a whole mob watching this. Laughing. Your mob, my mob, your mob. Hi, mob.
They're often here and saying all kinds. You're just like, I get it's one.
Yeah, it's like one at a time, guys.
Okay.
I can't. My voice can only give one at a time.
I'm trying to hear you, Mom.
Yeah,
I know.
I love though that you call it your mob.
Yeah, me too.
I had this beautiful man. I had Kristen doing my show yesterday. I'm training Kristen to do a podcast show. She's on with me on Elevate every week. And I said, okay, you can. We had this friend of hers and a friend of mine, Sean Lesser, who is has started Hawaiian IANS, which is the International Study for Near-Death Experiences, IANS. And he calls, what did he call his spiritual guides? He calls them, what did he call them? The mob, the group, the gang. That's what he called them. He called the gang. And we were laughing. Yeah, the gang. He said, because Paul Selleck, do you know who Paul Selleck is? He's a channel. He now lives in Hawaii. So Sean lives in Hawaii. So he's met Paul. And Paul's books are just, I call them mandatory reading. The channeled books are just exquisitely beautiful. Paul was teaching script writing at university for many years. So he has a command of the English language, which the guides utilize to bring through the information so beautifully, the way they pick different words to illustrate concepts. And he calls the guides, right? It's like, what do you call them? The guides. I don't know. I just call them the guides. And we were talking about what we call our guides, our mob, the guides, the gang. Because really they don't have a name. When people ask me, who are they? They say, we've been so many different, concepts. We've been so many different personalities, so many different lives. You can't just put it in capture it in one name. Yeah, a stream of consciousness. Yeah,
it's true. Well, and just be mindful of your time, Karen, because we went an extra half hour.
You did, yeah.
Which is amazing. I love the conversation.
The builders have been very quiet out there. The painters are out there stripping paint off the wall at the moment. I said, are you guys going to be noisy? They said, no. So they've been very good. Yeah. Well, I've got a lot out of this conversation, ladies, luscious ladies, galactic gals. So I want to thank you for your wisdom and all that you do on this planet.
Thank you.
Thank you for your galactic presence, because you're gorgeous. And as I say, when I met Jennifer through, I've met Tanis before through the conference, and I just wanted to just spread you everywhere. I just think it's great. Yeah. So for people that are my tribe that are listening on my channel, go across to, what's your YouTube channel called? It's called
Twillow Lifestyle Community.
Twillow Lifestyle, and then
Community.
My Holistic Self. So
right at
the, I don't, is that the right? Am I doing that right? Right at the
yeah, there. I think mine is actually Twillow Lifestyle Community, not just Twillow Lifestyle on Facebook, but on YouTube. Facebook on Twillow Lifestyle.
And you're also streaming on your Facebook pages, and go get people to subscribe to your channel, because your channel needs a little bit of love, because they're beautiful, gorgeous conversations that need to be shared. She's going to subscribe. Thanks, Heidi. Heidi is a big fan of. We were talking, Heidi, before about getting the gals on the United Public Radio Network, getting their show on there. That would be good. Jennifer and I were chatting about that before we went live, because she's been chatting to Michelle. So yeah, it'd be nice to get that your message out to more people. New subscriber, got a few new subscribers. Yay! Thanks, guys.
Yay!
Awesome. Thank you.
And for your tribe that are listening, go across to my YouTube channel and subscribe too. If you put in KAren Swain Blissful Beings, the channel is actually called Accentuate the Positive, but Before I started the show, I called it Blissful Beings, KAren Swain, Blissful Beings. So that's the name you'll find. But if you put in KAren Swain, you'll see it.
And I think all of the links are in the description too. So if you're on,
they should be all down there.
Should be able to see all of them.
Lovely.
That's
Thank you,
wonderful.
ladies. Thank you. Thanks, everyone
you.
who's been messaging. It's been cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vladdy. Big love to all of you. Mwah!
Yes. Lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for joining us today on Twillow Talk. And come back and see us soon. Take care.
Yeah, sure.